To come back and fight the best of the best, you know?
How confident were you that you were going to be able to go into that fight and leave unscathed, no injuries?
But I hope she just kind of thinks that maybe, I don't know, that I haven't trained as much, you know, that my timing won't be good.
CJI fans, we're less than a week away from the biggest weekend in grappling history. And joining me now is part of the super fight, Ffion Davies, Mackenzie Dern. This is going to go down as the biggest female super fight in history. And I'm so curious why you felt like this was the right call for you, coming back to jiu-jitsu and taking on the toughest test that you possibly could.
Yeah, I think because I left jiu-jitsu in my prime, you know, I wasn't on my downhill. I wasn't retiring, you know, I had just won all the titles, you know, I was number one ranked, when I made that transition to MMA. So I had that in my back pocket. Okay, I'm gonna try MMA. If I don't like it, I'll come back to jiu-jitsu. I'm young, you know, I was 23. So I think just for me, I think that's what people are so excited about, to kind of see how I would have done with people if I had stayed in it, you know, and stayed with jiu-jitsu, you know, 100%. And then for me too, you know, I was gonna fight ADCC. That's 3 fights, you know, and Ffion, someone that a lot of people have kind of been talking about, a super fight, me and her. So to kind of just do one super fight, you know, and who knows, maybe I couldn't have not fought Ffion at the ADCC, because we have a bracket and who she could win, I could lose, or vice versa, you know, things like that. So I think it was just it made sense, you know, just the rule set, 3 rounds, 5 minutes, you know, kind of 10-9, you know, scoring system. So for me to have that shock coming back after like 8 years being out of jiu-jitsu, it kind of made a good transition. And then you know, you have to come back and fight the best of the best, you know.
And you're coming back so soon, just, you know, 2 weeks out from your last MMA fight, which congratulations, you won. But we were all so worried because we were like, oh no, hopefully everything is okay with that fight. So how confident were you that you were going to be able to go into that fight and leave unscathed, no injuries?
Man, I wasn't that confident, honestly. I was like really, really hoping, you know, I tried not to think about that during my match. You know, I thought about it all through training camp, especially because I was already planning to fight, you know, grappling back in February on this date. So when they added me to the UFC Abu Dhabi, I was kind of trying to get out of it. I was like, no, I don't want to risk, you know, getting injured in MMA. You know, a couple weeks before grappling. If it was grappling before MMA, then I'd feel better, you know. But then my manager was like, you got to do both. You know, you can do this, and they want you there. And obviously, the UFC is really what, like, it's paying my bills and everything like that. So I have to give them priority. So I was kind of just more concerned about the camp leading up to it, not getting injured. And then, of course, it's a fist fight, you know? So I was like, man, I really hope I don't get injured. You know, I had told Craig I needed, like, at least a backup athlete in case anything happens, you know? Like a fighter to be on hold, you know? But, yeah, I'm really happy that we were able to come out clean. You know, I think the worst was, like, I have this bump here, a black eye, but my body and whole, it's like, I really worked like the strength training. I worked my grappling a lot to fight Lupita and then to fight Fiona after, you know. So, yeah, I'm feeling really, really good for who's been out so long. I'm feeling like, man, I think this will be a really, really good fight. And I think people are going to be really surprised to see just like how good my jiu-jitsu still is. You know, I think they think maybe I wasn't training all these years, but I have been.
Yeah, and I feel like a big part of being able to compete and then not have any injuries is also the fact that your mentality seems so strong and you seem like you're in a really good place compared to just different moments of your life. So can you kind of talk about what it's like dealing with mental aspects before heading into big competitions? Because I know Fion's going through different stuff right now. She's like on the move as well. You just got done with your UFC fight, but it also looks like you just had an amazing trip with your beautiful daughter. So like, can you just tell me about all the roller coasters of emotions that it takes in these training camp moments?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think that's the biggest challenge, is the mental part for it. You know, I mean, I've trained so good for a fight, where I've given like literally the most I can, and then I fell short, you know, and it wasn't enough to win. And then I've like had a camp that was more or less, and I ended up having some of the best performances ever, you know. So it really just goes down to, you know, mental, like if your mind is in it and you believe, you know, all the way until the end, you can. And yeah, I mean, just it was hard for me to focus 100% on Ffion when I had Lupita. I didn't want to look over Lupita. And I knew that which was my fight in UFC. So it's just kind of trying to be like, getting that maturity level. I've been working with like a psychologist to help my mindset because I'm kind of that person that overthinks. I want everything to be perfect. I want to do my best and everything I can. I push myself so much. And sometimes like, no, it's good. And I'm like, and I feel like, no, it still could have been better. And now I'm just kind of realizing you have to kind of just take things as it goes, not getting anxious about things ahead of time for unnecessary reasons. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, oh, I'm going to get hurt. I'm not going to be able to do the CGI and this and that. But as you take it day by day, August 3rd, I was fighting Lupita. I was just, my goal was to get through the 3 rounds, to beat her 3 rounds. That's over. Now my focus is on Ffion. So that helped calm me a lot. And my body's feeling good, my mind's feeling good, spirit's feeling good. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just trying to do the best you can, and taking it one step at a time, like dealing the problems if any problems come up when they happen, and not ahead of time. So I know Ffion is a huge challenge. She's going to be, I know she's strong, she's tough. A lot of people have talked about her. She's, for me, one of the pound for pound best fighters right now. So it's going to be a tough fight. But yeah, I really believe that we can come out with the win in this.
And when Ffion was originally added to the card, they immediately knew that they wanted you to be her competitor. Both of you guys are ADCC champions, and I feel like really influence the rest of women's jiu-jitsu, like just trailblazing wise, the way you've trailblazed and the way Ffion has been very outspoken when it comes to girls not getting representation on certain cards. So what is it about women's jiu-jitsu that the athletes have to stand out more and perform, times 10 to get some of the recognition that the guys automatically get? Like, I feel like you guys really have to do more to get these spots on these cards. And I'm curious on what your take is because you've lived through the journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a mix of, there's not that many girls. Of course we've grown so much. So compared to back in the day, it's just growing a lot. But I think just there, it's kind of like it can be a little bit repetitive. I think for the fans to watch, the same people fighting over and over again. When you have less opponents, less group of girls, it's kind of the same fights over and over. And of course, like maybe one can win, one can lose, but it doesn't change so much. So I feel like we have to like constantly be proving, even when we're fighting the same people over and over again, just that we can still bring new strategies and new techniques and still be exciting to watch. And then but obviously it's growing, so it's really exciting to see that, we're able to have like all these mix-ups in matches, and like one girl beats the other girl, then that girl beats that one. So it's like sometimes the math doesn't even make sense. You're like, how did she beat her and then she beat me but I beat her? You know what I mean? But then you have that chance to try it out again and stuff like that, and that's what really is starting to, I think people are starting to see the technique and the aggression that the girls are bringing to the fights for the fans. And then also too, I mean, it's just there's always that kind of thing where they don't really take you 100% seriously because you're a woman, and they overlook like your looks, or they're paying more attention on how they look fighting than actually what's going on, and how we're like giving our all out there. So it's, I mean, we can use that in our favor, for people to try and, if they'll watch us because we're women, okay. But it's just it makes us like push even harder for them to respect like our technique and all the hard work we go through. You know what I mean? But I think the guys are starting to get it. I think they're really understanding how much of like how professional we are during the camps and the training, and no matter, you know what I mean? Before it was like we would win matches with just like one fight, and then the guys would be like, oh, well, the world championships, we have like 6 fights, so it's hard for them to give us, they wouldn't give us the same respect because we would have one match to win a world championship, and then the guys would have like 6, 7 matches, but today's days it's totally changed. And thankfully, we have like some of the girls that stand up and like are trying to get like higher pays and all these things, because if not, I think they'll try and it's a business, right? So if they can, and if the girls like don't stand up for what they want, then they're gonna like end up just like, oh, give them, I don't know, $200, or something like that. They'll try and give at least amount as possible, so it's really important that we all just kind of come together, and the girls like me, and we support each other so much. It's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely think the numbers will show on Saturday night that people are interested in the women's fights. I think there's going to be a lot of people that watch CJI just for your guys' fight. So I'm super excited for that. When you think about your time in ADCC 2015 and even the times competing in ADCC before, was it ever on your mind that there wasn't any show money? Or were you kind of just competing at that point to compete? This is the biggest competition, and that was the only thing that mattered. Or did it ever come into your back of your mind like, oh, shouldn't we get something out of this?
Yeah, ADCC, no, because I mean, ADCC is such a like a traditional event, competition that has been for years. It's a competition that I watched my dad fight at when I was like 6 years old, and I was like, man, one day when I
Whoa.
get, when I'm older and I'm a black belt, I'm gonna fight at that event. So for me, it was something like that title that I was going after. The same as like worlds and stuff like that. Like the money kind of came after. Um, but then when it comes to like, for my first title, 2017, I lost in the first round, but the idea was just kind of like to go and defend my title. I wasn't really thinking about the money behind it, and especially because I mean, it's $10,000. I mean, I know 10,000 can help for sure, but when you think about how many minutes you're doing, you can go up to like 40-minute fights, and stuff like that. It's a lot. When you see the event growing, but the money's not, so you're kind of like, man, they're adding kids now to ADCC and stuff like that, so you don't want to like lose that prestige. I mean, I'm happy for the kids and stuff like that, but I think there's some things that it's good to have the kids look forward to that when they become adults, and like I think we need to keep a couple events more prestigious and more, um, like just for adults, just that way they can have something to work for and stuff like that. So, I mean, come on. My daughter wants to say
Moa.
hi.
I love how long her hair is getting. I'm like, oh my goodness. Hello, Moa. You are precious.
She's running around the house.
Sounded like you had a crazy vacation, Moa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Follow. I want you to. Where'd you go?
Abu Dhabi.
Olha pra câmera. And did mom win? Yes. Woo.
And you guys rode jet skis, saw camels.
And
That sounds amazing.
I bet you.
I think it's amazing that after you had Moa, 4 months you took before returning to MMA, not jujitsu, but MMA, like throwing fists. And then even before an ADCC competition, you returned 4 months after tearing your ACL and recovering from that. And so now that you're returning to a jiu-jitsu competition 2 weeks after fighting MMA, this shouldn't be a surprise because it's just something in your blood, I guess. But, what is it like about the way Megaton raised you that makes you this way? Like, it's truly incredible. I don't know any other athletes that are this on point all the time.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is like you're not being too scared of the risk, I mean that you always know that the risks are a little higher, but as long as you don't let that like the fear of losing be bigger than the drive to win, you know what I mean? So I always have that like hope in me. I believe like until the end. I believe of course I don't do anything that's like even my surgeries and stuff like that, or my pregnancy, I was cleared, I was cleared by doctors and stuff, so I don't do anything that's like, but I put myself through the training, through the physiotherapy, everything I need to. Like I took a couple days off, even when I came back from Abu Dhabi, I took like 2 days off until Wednesday, and to get back into training, just because I needed that for my body and my mind and everything like that. But just, and also too, not to get hurt, things like that. But yeah, as long as I believe in it, and I mean, I'm not scared to lose, you know what I mean? I know it's a fight. There's gonna be one winner and one loser, that's how it is, So there's a 50% chance, and I believe in my chances, until the end. If they call me tomorrow, I mean, I've been fighting since I'm 3, I've been competing since I'm 3 years old. Well, competing since I'm 6 years old, but I mean, I've been training since I'm 3, So my dad always tells me like we're born ready, we're always ready, That's like kind of what, when you get into like the warrior spirit, that your dad puts you, my dad's always put me through that like warrior spirit, samurai style, through training. He's always training me like we need to be ready, prepared for anything. So I think that mentality is taking me to like a lot of success in jiu-jitsu and MMA. Even though some of them I've had losses, with those challenges, but almost like 99% of the time there's at least like a good fight, and it's a good show, and it's a good outing.
Do you feel like your MMA experience has helped your jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one thing that I've been trying to change a lot, just because I was like pulling guard in the beginning, when I went to MMA, I'd like pull guard, and I'd be okay with being on the bottom. And my coaches and everyone were like, no, you need to be on top, like if you're on the bottom, it's just a sweep or attack and get up. Um, so I really changed that a lot in my game, my jiu-jitsu game. But recently, I've been like getting in MMA. I've been getting to a lot of like really good positions and like going for the submissions. But by the time I go for the submissions, I'm kind of very close to the end of the round, and I'm not able to get the submission that normally I would be able to. So I've been working a lot on being like tight, not losing positions, and just my pressure has been like, it's gotten way better. I feel like back when I've been competing in jiu-jitsu. So I've been working a lot on that, on the pressure, which is kind of more of an MMA style grappling, like on top and not giving too much space and doing grounded pound and finding the right positions and stuff like that. So it's not too much beating bolo anymore, even though I still love it. I still love like my foot attacks, my Americanas, my leg locks and all that stuff. But I definitely have gained a lot more of my pressure, my passing and back takes and stuff like that, thanks to MMA.
And with MMA, you obviously get to work a lot on the cage, but for CJI, we're going to be on the 45-degree angles for that. So have you thought about that at all? I don't know if they were able to build out an angled wall for you to practice on. So how are you going in for that, dealing with that surface?
Yeah, no, I'm totally excited for that. I mean, like I said, it's a good transition for me to be coming back into jiu-jitsu, the CGI, just kind of the pit, it's similar to MMA, the rounds, the point system, how it's gonna be. But yeah, even in training, I mean, I've been using the wall. It's not the same as the pit, but it's similar. I've been using the wall a lot. Just even for takedowns, defenses, and things like that. Like my back on the cage or on the wall, my opponent's, back when they kind of pushing them to the cage, how she could react to those situations. So we've been strategizing it. We've been going over it, drilling it. But I'm really excited. I've never done like in the pit before, so I'm really excited to see how it will be.
And you started your jiu-jitsu career when you were just 3 training. Ffion started judo when she was young as well, but didn't start jiu-jitsu until she was 19. So do you feel like your experience competing in specifically jiu-jitsu is going to give you an advantage despite that you've been focused on MMA for the past few years?
No, I mean, I hope so, but I don't think so. I mean, how I've seen her compete with all the top girls, like all the girls with that when I left, were all getting to the black belt, and how I've seen her compete with all of them, girls that have trained jiu-jitsu like since they're little. She holds her own there, and she does really good with all of them. So I don't see that coming in too much. I know she competes a lot. I think she's even done like MMA before, what I've heard, So she's definitely like a competitor in different martial arts. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that will just help come to play is just, I feel like the pressure's more on her just because she's been in grappling this whole time, and I'm the one who's kind of making my comeback. And I hope she just kind of thinks that maybe, I don't know, that I haven't trained as much, and that my timing won't be good. I hope however I get there, it's going to be a surprise to her. I think that the element of surprise is always kind of what comes into play. Even like in MMA, people are jiu-jitsu girl, like they think of me, oh, jiu-jitsu girl, but then when I land like a hand, some combos, they're like, oh shoot, man, she kind of hits pretty hard, and then all of a sudden they're thinking about like, wait, okay, now I gotta take care of the head stand up, so I hope that comes into play, and that will help give me the up in the super fight with Ffion.
Yeah, we're definitely so excited to see it. I know that Craig and Seth are so honored that you said yes to joining CJI, which is put on by a nonprofit organization, the Fair Fight Foundation. So what was the biggest motivation for you to join CJI and leave ADCC this year?
I mean, the biggest one it was the purse. Was that they were going to pay the women's fight, like such a good amount for a super fight. So for me, it was like I was gonna do the ADCC. I already have that title. And then having my MMA fight get scheduled so close, it was kind of like I didn't feel like it was fair for me to pull out if anything happened of ADCC. And Craig, I made that really clear with him, like, hey, I need to have a backup girl, to leave, because I have a good relationship with everyone from the ADCC. I'm so supportive. I'm so thankful. Of course, a lot of my titles, my ADCC titles are worth a lot. So for me, it's special to me. But it's at the T-Mobile Arena. Like I said, the money is the same as like 10 years ago. It's still the same. And then we have this super event that's coming, and they're like bringing, and it's nonprofit. They're gonna send money over to our some foundations of our choice, and then to be giving this amount of money for especially the women's fight is like I couldn't say no. I was like, yeah, and then just the rule sets, everything, and the fact they said like, no, we can have a girl. It made more sense to be able to have someone on hold, a reserve for one super fight, than for a bracket, where that's a title that these girls that maybe none of them have accomplished a title yet, or they're trying to get their first big title. I said it's better I give them that chance to train, and they have some time. I can pull out now and go to CJI and focus on just one person. Then I'm focused on like coming back and fighting a whole bunch of like 5, 6 girls that are all at the top of the game. So I prefer to get the hardest, in my opinion. The hardest right away. I can just focus just on her strategy and everything. The rule sets, everything was kind of very similar to MMA. So I mean, there's just so many reasons that made sense for me to fight Craig Jones.
Yeah, definitely a lot of legacy on the line, but then also just what you were able to do for all the other women in the industry, because now the women in ADCC got their money matched to the men's, and also they're going to get show money too. So I really don't think any of it could have been done without you and Ffion really taking a stand. And I think a lot of people are going to be watching on a Saturday cheering for you guys. Is there anything that you have going on, or any projects that you're working on that you want people to know about?
I mean, no, I'm just kind of in here going after the belt. I'm definitely trying to get my comeback to jiu-jitsu, to help my MMA. But obviously, it's in my blood. I love jiu-jitsu so much, So hopefully we'll have Craig Jones Invitational again other times. Hopefully maybe I can defend my win if I get the win on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, just trying to get people to follow along and see this journey of becoming like a future champion and stuff like that. So I appreciate all the support from all the guys and the girls, jiu-jitsu world, MMA world, all of it. I appreciate it so much, and yes, so excited for Saturday.
If you want to keep up with all the latest and greatest news that I'm covering, be sure to follow my socials at AlexWendlingX. I'm on Twitter/X. I'm on Instagram, and then of course my YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe here. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the things that I am covering in the future. If you enjoyed that interview, be sure to check out this one.